On this special episode, we give our feedback on WWE Battleground, RAW, the Divas Movement, Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam, celebrate 100 episodes of the podcast, and more right now on Byte That. Hey gang, what's going on? You're listening to episode 100 of Byte That's Wrestling Podcast, a weekly podcast where we sit down and just celebrate for now 100 episodes, that which is the WWE and the rest of professional wrestling. Thanks for tuning in and checking out the show. Remember, we are available every single Tuesday night on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, ByteThat.com. And for this, plus tons more, especially this week, go over to YouTube.com/ByteThatCast. My name is Juan Velez. I am from San Juan, Puerto Rico. And as always, joining me in this emotional roller coaster of a podcast episode from Boston, Massachusetts, Ryan McNulty.
I like turtles.
You really do. And you're also a birthday boy, by the way. I haven't forgotten tomorrow is Ryan's birthday. So if the song wasn't copyrighted, we would probably sing it.
Is it still copyrighted? That's not public domain by now.
No, it's actually copyrighted. We could get sued. So I'm just going to say happy birthday.
Thank you.
Now, you're welcome. Now, from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, Keith Poshik, people.
Juan, it's episode 100.
Episode 100. There are 3 digits now whenever we post these episodes. That's crazy.
I know. We lost a character in the title names, but I think to celebrate, we should harness the power of podcasting. Get your hands, put them together and clap along with me. Byte that cast.
Byte that cast. Almost got it right the first time.
Byte that cast.
Good luck synchronizing that.
Hopefully that'll be synchronized for the podcast version. But yeah,
that's okay. I'll work my magic.
A lot of awesome things. This is a very special episode. So of course we'll be talking about Battleground, everything that happened on Raw. Now in the second portion of the show, we're just sort of going to go a little bit behind the scenes, talking about the origins of Byte That, Fight Night, everything that we do here, why we do it, and especially where do we plan on going. It's been 100 episodes, so let's get right down to it, guys. Of course, Battleground happened this past Sunday, and because so many things that happened both on Battleground occurred on Raw, we're just sort of going to give our overall reactions on Battleground, Raw, and then get to specific storylines. So, Ryan, Battleground, you posted your review, but now that you've had some time to digest everything that happened on Sunday, what is your updated feedback on the show?
I just felt like overall, like most pay-per-views this year, that it was really solid. There wasn't any like match of the year candidates or anything, but I felt like every single match got a lot of time except for the main event. The main event's the only match I really felt like it left you wanting more. But everything else I thought was really solid.
I agree, and while it was solid, Battleground was a very surprising pay-per-view for me in a lot of ways, because the matches that I kind of wrote off as, these aren't going to be very good, actually turned out to be really good. Like, I would even say the match that I had the least expectations for ended up being the match of the night.
Yeah, we actually got called out on social media because our predictions were actually, for once, kind of way off. Of course, it's not that we can magically guess that the Undertaker's going to show up.
But you know, that's a good thing, though.
Yeah.
The fact that we can't just predict this is going to happen and this is going to happen, and then all of that just happens. Like, surprising things are happening, and that's exciting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wrestling fans always like to complain that things are too predictable, so it's good to be wrong.
So because we're going to talk about other things in the Raw portion, I want to bring this up right now, which is Bray Wyatt versus Roman Reigns. This was the match that all 3 of us were just thinking Roman Reigns is going to win, and that is absolutely it. Nothing else can happen except Luke Harper.
Well, this is the match that I was saying that I wrote off because I watched them fight at the house show that I was at recently, and it was just the most generic match ever. Like, every single wrestling cliche they kind of went and did, like the rest holds, the roll out of the ring and then come back in at like 9.75. They did every single one of them, and it was very disappointing. Then they went to Battleground and completely flip-sided that. Like, they had a very physical match. It was pretty brutal. And then, yeah, Luke Harper out of nowhere. Didn't even know it was Luke Harper at first.
The one thing that was pretty hilarious about that match, though, was then when Reigns kind of just ran all the way around the ring and just went right into the stairs. He looked like such a moron. It's like there was so much time between Wyatt moving that he just looked like the biggest doofus just running into steel steps.
Momentum, man. When you have that adrenaline rush,
it's like just like the ropes in the ring, man. You can't stop.
Can't stop it. And I'm just gonna say right now, I would bring up that this was the best match that they've both had up until this point in their careers.
I know
Daniel
disagree.
Bryan versus Roman Reigns.
No,
Daniel Bryan versus Bray Wyatt.
because
But
listen to that
Daniel
example.
Bryan on both.
But listen
both
to those
occasions.
examples. It's, guys like John Cena, Dana Bryan, but they're facing each other. It was Roman Reigns versus Bray Wyatt. The two guys that we keep saying, oh, they're great when they feud with blank. Insert top guy here. But this was the first match, and I realized this halfway through, where it was them. It was about them. It wasn't about the top guy. It was simply about the two guys, as I mentioned in my predictions, that have to prove something, and I really think they did.
Yeah, I guess from your argument, you could say that this was a time where it's like nobody was carrying them. Like they both had to really give it their all on their own. There was no outside help. Both of these guys had to prove themselves individually in this match, if that makes sense.
And,
Yeah, it
and the
does.
crowd was really invested, which was something that was honestly very surprising for me. Now, the last thing I want to ask you guys about this is Luke Harper, which, by the way, I thought it was like Damien Sandow at the beginning. I don't know why, because I just looked off to the side.
It's the beard. They all look the same.
So I speculated, could that be him? But now that we have at least a portion of the Wyatt family back, do you think this is sort of going back or a step in the right direction?
Since Eric Rowan got injured, they've done nothing with Luke Harper, and it just seemed like a big shame. So the fact that they're doing something with Harper, just great. And I was one of the people that thought they let the Wyatt family go their separate ways a little prematurely. So if they're going back to that, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it screams of, we tried to do something with Harper, it didn't work out, and now we're kind of going back to the way things were and pretending that didn't happen. But then again, it was also that Roman got hurt, so we don't know exactly what their plans were. It looks like they were kind of setting them up, doing the 3D and stuff, and then, people speculated a feud with the Dudley Boys or whatever. We never really know where that was going, but, when something like that happens, you gotta, think on the fly, and I think it's good. It gives Harper kind of meaning again and direction. So I'm all for it because that guy is super talented and needs to be on TV more.
And it's crazy how just one match, you guys know, week in and week out, I've said this is the thing that I don't care about the most, where it didn't matter what was going to happen, I was just going to be next. Now, I actually care because you bring in Luke Harper, who, what you just said, they ended them prematurely. They bring him back now. And then they actually have this feud continuing now where, it's actually really nice.
Yeah, I was actually going to say, I like that this isn't just a one-off feud and then setting Roman Reigns up for like a title match at SummerSlam. Like they're actually giving Reigns a longer program. I think both of these guys needed more than just a one-off, one pay-per-view feud. So I really like that it's still going on.
Plus, Bray Wyatt got a win. He
That
got a
is
win.
something, yeah,
It's
wow.
unbelievable.
On a pay-per-view, no less. Just an overall win for Bray Wyatt would be
a
great.
meaningful opponent.
Yes. No offense, Ryback.
So much celebration in this episode. Now, let's actually break down our overall reaction on Monday Night Raw. Because we have a lot of things that happened in it. But I want to know, when you saw the logo on the lower left side of the screen and Raw faded, how did you feel things were shaping up on the road to SummerSlam?
I thought they started off really well because this Raw just felt so different than most Raws. When you open Raw with The Undertaker, it already feels way different than, any Raw during the year. And like, I just felt like, there was multiple Diva segments. You got multiple segments with Brock Lesnar, Undertaker, stuff you don't normally see, and then an actual main event with like a conclusive finish. There's just so many things that you're not used to seeing. So this was like a super refreshing Raw.
From what I can remember, it was the first Raw of the year that didn't involve the Authority in either the opening or closing segment. So that alone feels refreshing. But yeah, they had 2 Divas segments, which is nuts. The Undertaker and Lesnar multiple times. A very, very action-packed Raw on a Raw that has no reason to be, really.
And it's interesting because listening to what you like the most, it's consistency. 2 Diva segments. Brock Lesnar and Undertaker kept happening. It's guess what? When you give one storyline importance in this one specific episode, it kind of works.
Plus, it's nice just to not have this is what they're doing this week. Now, stay tuned till next week to see the next chapter. There's actual, serious momentum and movement in a storyline in a single episode of Raw.
Exactly. When there's, a good narrative throughout an entire Raw, it's really nice. Because we do see too many, this is what he does this is your 15 minutes for the week. Wait till next week. And that gets to be a really tired formula where sometimes it's better just leave a couple people off the show and spend one show focusing more on a few individuals.
And now that you bring that up, the perfect example is everything that happened with Brock Lesnar. Because at the beginning of the show, I thought they wrote him off. I even told Keith, that's how they're doing it. He doesn't need to show up or tonight or whatever. That's horrible. But then, of course, you think to yourself, well, Undertaker's calling Lesnar out. Paul Heyman's making references. Is Brock Lesnar going to be there? It was just these perfect things that just pieced so well together that when Undertaker spoke, it was another situation of, I didn't think I was going to care about this match. When the Tombstone happened, I was like, crap, I don't want that at SummerSlam. Raw ends, and I'm like, I want that at SummerSlam.
Really? Because I am still in the camp of I don't want that at SummerSlam. It's cool. It's a very cool match. Don't get me wrong about that, but I don't understand why it needs to happen. What does either person gain from this? So The Undertaker beats Brock Lesnar. Okay. You take this giant force that you've created, and we have gone on ad nauseum about what's the momentum that the guy that finally pins Brock Lesnar after he beats the streak, what that will do for that person, and you're just gonna give that back to The Undertaker? And then if Brock Lesnar wins, okay, you just beat The Undertaker again. Cool, move on, next. It doesn't... I don't understand
weird.
It.
And it seems like it just doesn't fit. But
yes.
At the same time, who says that Undertaker's going to win? I've seen people kind of talking what if this leads to Undertaker completely doubting himself and then it's kind of some angle that goes towards his retirement. But it does seem weird because Brock Lesnar just kind of turned babyface. And then you got Undertaker showing up. And I know Medento Gaming commented on our... my Battleground review saying that basically Undertaker did a lot of heel stuff, interrupting a title match.
Brock Lesnar in the dick.
Yeah, he kicked Brock Lesnar.
That's a heel tactic.
Gave him a low blow, basically, interfering in this match. It's a total heel thing, but he's the Undertaker. Nobody's going to boo the Undertaker. So by default, Lesnar just kind of goes back to heel. And it's you were just building him as a babyface. So it all seems really out of place. But I think they just want like we said before, we all say, SummerSlam, they really want to be the second biggest show, even though it's really Royal Rumble. So I think they're just trying really hard to make this a WrestleMania type feel. And you got The Undertaker at SummerSlam, it does make it feel like a significantly bigger deal. I just kind of feel bad for Bray Wyatt in this whole thing because he's kind of completely irrelevant with this feud with The Undertaker.
Yeah, that part, the 2 parts that, before going with the positive things, is that, the Bray Wyatt thing, it just should have never happened. And this is proof, because it did absolutely nothing. It is irrelevant. It doesn't matter. It's almost just a random win for the sake of having a win.
It's his resurrection. It's we just saw you 4 months ago.
I just be crying.
Deal, man?
So it's a good thing that Bray Wyatt has Luke Harper's support during this very tough time for him. And then the other thing is, you just turned Brock Lesnar babyface. So now... it's just Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker, and that is where I want to bring this up. I was feeling everything you guys were feeling until Brock Lesnar shouted, "I'll kill you," and Undertaker responded, "You're going to have to." And that's when this feud clicked for me, because this is the next Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels. I absolutely think that this is the next match that's going to be in that category where you know what's going to happen. It's not about what's going to happen. It's like, we are legitimately going to see that? Wow. Who actually expected Ric Flair to beat Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania? Nobody. And we got the exact same match we thought we were going to get, and everybody loved it, and everybody still talks about it, the ending, all of that good stuff. Now think like Undertaker, this is his revenge. When does Undertaker get pissed off like this? When's the last time you saw Undertaker being involved like this? When's the last time you saw Brock Lesnar being involved in a feud that's not just, well, I'm going to beat you and take the title? Now he's like, oh, you're going to beat the crap out of me? Guess what? I'm going to beat the crap out of you.
No, I mean, that brawl definitely got me excited for this match, because when I saw that was happening, I was kind of like, both of these guys, there's so many other opponents we'd rather see them face. But, I mean, that brawl was so awesome. And, yeah, exactly. Like, Undertaker just saying, you're going to have to. Like, nobody else would have that kind of, like, badass swagger to say something like that.
I know, like I said, it's very cool, but I still, even with all that, I still don't see the why in all of it.
And I think the reason why, and let me know if I'm wrong with this, is that the storyline portion, I'm all for it. But we've seen Undertaker's last matches. And realistically, like
that illusion
what
could
Brock Lesnar
all
can
fall
do.
apart in minutes at SummerSlam.
So the issue is not the storyline. It can be amazing, Undertaker's last shot, redeeming himself for the loss at WrestleMania. But will that match equal the greatness of the storyline? I honestly don't know.
That's the thing. I mean, was anyone else watching the end of Battleground, like, just hoping that Undertaker would make it through the segment okay? Like, doing the choke slams and the tombstones. Like, he was kind of struggling with those tombstones, and the crowd's chanting one more time. I'm like, let this guy rest. He looks like he's about to die right now.
He needs his booster, and sure, man, get it to him. So overall, I think that this could be the feud of the year. Legitimately, because this type of feud won't happen again. It's two part-timers feuding with each other. We've always, jokingly said, what if they faced each other? We'd never see it happen. We are seeing that happen. And, even you said, Ryan, last night during Raw, where Brock Lesnar is a normal part of the roster now. And this is how you make that seem not normal. It's with The Undertaker. So, the next thing I got to bring up is the Divas situation. I'm going to lump up the match they had at Battleground and the two matches that they had on Raw, which is amazing. I don't remember the last time the Divas had two matches, let alone two good matches on Raw, and then the awesome match we had at Battleground. I want to ask you directly, Keith, because I know out of the three of us, you were the one that was most hesitant about going on board with this. Now that we've seen three things in 2 nights, what do you think?
I mean, it seems like they're all hands on deck on this, and nobody's disappointed at this point. So you're starting to turn that corner. At least I am. Like, oh, okay, this is a real thing. And if they keep this going, I think it's going to be very incredible.
I think it's off to a great start. And we kind of talked about last week how these 3 teams, this could be a very long-term thing and not just a one-off SummerSlam match. So my only concern, but it's not a concern yet because this is all still very new, is that they need to eventually add more elements than just let's do different combinations of matches between the 3 teams. I'd like to see some kind of story elements implemented at some point, but as for now, just building up to the SummerSlam 3-team match, I think this is the way to go, and I think we're just going to see a lot of awesome divas just wrestling, just basically showing off that, yeah, they can all wrestle good and have good matches, and we're just going to mix up all the combinations until we see all the teams actually go at it at SummerSlam.
My guess is going to be that it's going to be like this until Nikki Bella passes AJ Lee's Divas title record, and then they're going to start passing the Divas title around to kind of add those story elements to it, but we need to get to that record first.
Exactly, because, I mean, you have so many directions where once we pass that place where it's like the Divas title can shift between all 3 teams, and then eventually one of the teams breaks up because of the title or something, somebody gets jealous somewhere. So it's just like you've kind of created a situation of just endless feuds for a long time.
But even with the what they're doing right now, it's kind of cool in its own way. Like, I see Team Bella kind of as a Mortal Kombat ladder at this point, where first you go through Brie, then you're probably going to go through Alicia Fox, and then she's like the Motaro to Nikki Bella's Shao Kahn. So after you beat those, you're go up against Shao Kahn for the Divas title.
Well, speaking of kind of video game things,
of that.
I liked how on Squared Circle someone said, they said like, oh, apparently to unlock your you have to win a match to unlock your theme music on the main roster. Because they were just, they were playing like Naomi's theme or like Sasha was wrestling.
We're talking about a lot of cool stuff here. There is one thing where I need to know if it's just me just being hateful or not so much hateful. That's a strong word. Being accustomed to this, the Bellas in this definitely seem like the shorter end of the stick. Like on Raw, for example, we had a match featuring Brie Bella, and everybody was just saying on social media, and I would agree, and there's specific examples where you can see the pacing that people like Charlotte, Sasha Banks, they're just at another level. Not for divas. They compete with the guys. They compete for the roster, period. But then you see Brie Bella wrestle, and your thought is like, one of these things kind of doesn't
she can't
belong.
keep up.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, just from a excitement / hype level, the Bella side of things is at an inherent disadvantage because they don't have any new people on their team, at least for now. So they're inherently less exciting than the other two teams. But exactly what you said, Juan, they're just like... I would say all of the Divas roster before the NXT people are just not on the same level as those NXT call-ups, right? So you're expecting them to work down to meet their level, or seeing the other people fumble as they work up. Like, there's a little bit of balance that needs to be met there.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think you should kind of... I mean, it's good to not rush through things either. So, I mean, I think part of being a good wrestler is recognizing when you have to kind of match pace or just find a way to make it all work and not seem out of place. So, I mean, these are new opponents for a lot of them. So it just might take a little while for them to kind of, find their spot to make it all really work. But I mean, I don't know, like, who are the Bellas really the heels? I mean, everyone seems to not like them, but the commentary seems very just, it's all like, let's put over women in general, how the Bellas were on commentary. So it's like, I feel like they just need to just be the heels that everyone wants them to be,
Yeah, I think what the situation is, it's bittersweet in the sense that I mentioned last week, maybe it's not about face and heels. Maybe it's about pick the group that you like. Which would be great, and like TNA did that a lot with the X Division when it first started. It's a bunch of athletic people. You pick the one you like, and that's awesome. But with this, WWE trains you to think of a certain way, and now with what they're doing with the Divas, it's very different, which is great, but it's on the same show as everything else. So it's almost like, hypothetically, what were to happen if this Diva movement became so big that they definitely get more segments on Raw? Then all of a sudden it's not, hey, it's the Divas match. It's just like, hey, segment 2 is Sasha Banks versus, whoever. That could be a possibility.
I'm all for everyone just kind of being able to pick their own team. I think they just need a little bit more consistency. But I mean, maybe that's where they're finally going, because we've talked about the Bellas turning face and heel. I mean, they're worse than the Big Show now. It seems like every week it's changing. So I think face or heel, they just need to establish consistency amongst the teams.
Agreed, but they need time for consistency. So
consistency. That is the word for the next topic here, and I'm not sure how this is going to go. Kevin Owens versus John Cena. Kevin Owens debuts on Raw, steals the show. Kevin Owens faces John Cena, steals the show. Kevin Owens versus Cena 2, steals the show. He doesn't win, but then we start the conversation of, but he's going to win the title. Kevin Owens loses the NXT title. Kevin Owens versus John Cena 3. Kevin Owens loses, and then on Raw, he's just kind of there in the spotlight, kind of. We've talked about this, and the reason
He
I want to give
wasn't a main event match. I will
wasn't a
say
main
that.
Yes, with Rusev and everything in the last
he only
episode.
main evented Raw. Just only that.
No, I would not have that. Simply because we see this happen a lot. Where the guy starts, red hot, and there's actually a report. Now, I'm going to bring this up with an unbelievable grain of salt. Think you're like sodium intolerant when I say this right now. But there is a report from the Wrestling Observer that Kevin Owens has been dropped from the main event scene to an upper mid-card position, according to Brian Alvarez, for whatever reason. This came out about 30 minutes before the show. I'm just going to say right now, I absolutely see how this is going to happen. And the best example is the brawl between Undertaker and Brock Lesnar. I think the moment that Kevin Owens ran out there with the rest of the roster, that mystique of Kevin Owens to me really dropped because he was next to the Matadors and everybody else.
He became every other guy.
And that is a huge indicator. And I would just want to know if I'm paranoid or not. So
no, I saw the Meltzer report too, basically saying that they gave Owens every opportunity to succeed, so those that thought he would fail would be able to say, hey, look, we gave him everything and he still failed. But I think, Owens did pretty damn well in his position. But, you say he's going to be an upper mid-card guy and not straight to a main eventer. I mean, this guy just debuted. Okay, he's got a pinfall victory over John Cena. Sure, he lost the second 2 matches, but he still beat John Cena. How many guys on the roster for years have never gotten a clean win over John Cena, or even a win for that matter?
And it's not like those matches were bad. They were still great matches. Now, short term, maybe, it's easy to jump the gun on this, but long term, I don't see this being a big deal at all.
Yeah, I mean,
the example. Sorry, Ryan, but the example I keep going back into my head is take a look back about a year and a half ago. What we were saying about Seth Rollins in the Shield. He was the lowest guy in the Shield. Now he has been WWE champion for almost 6 months. Like, stuff like that, those little things just don't matter in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, he lost against Cena, but I think Kevin Owens is fine.
Exactly, because, you come in and you feud with John Cena. What, are we expect him to main event with Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam next? Like, he could pretty much only go down from there, so we just have to... let him
let it happen.
Exactly. Let him be in the mid card or they even said upper mid card. That's pretty damn good.
Like my
as far as
issue
NXT
is not so much
that's
that.
okay.
No, and I completely understand that, but my issue is not upper mid card. Honestly, and you guys know this on a personal level, I care way more about the mid card in wrestling than I ever have the upper to main event. I've always pretty much been like that. So if anything for me, it's like, great, he gets to be in different storylines that aren't completely mainstream. But my gripe
Hipster.
is the consistency. Yes. But my gripe is the consistency, and I just want to say this quick, where we mentioned it before. He should have been upset in so many things where logically his character should have been upset, but he seems to just let things go. And historically with WWE, that's not character development. That's just them dropping something and moving on.
Character-wise, they did justify it, where he tapped out for quote-unquote self-preservation. It was an interview on WWE.com.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
But to go back to this upper mid-card thing, like, I don't understand the big deal, because let's look at the upper mid-card. Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, Bray Wyatt, like Kevin Owens, a guy that's only been around for a couple months. He's on that level. Like, that's a good thing.
And sure, they normalized him, but it's like this guy, since he's been on the main roster, like, hasn't had to really pay his dues in any way yet. So I think he's just gonna kind of get the short end of the stick for a little while. But if someone's good, the cream rises to the top, as Macho Man would say.
Yeah.
So Randy Orton and John Cena are on the upper mid card.
I can't help but think his T-shirts are still flying off the shelves, so it's not like they're gonna bury the guy.
Yeah, that's true. I guess the only last thing I wanted to sort of say in comparison is the whole Bray Wyatt thing, where Undertaker showed up on Raw, and the Bray Wyatt feud was not so much the feud, but his promos in the ring were really good for everything he said about the Undertaker. And I just don't like the fact that these matches with John Cena seem like they're going to be the starting point, but then it's just going to be part of history that's not going to be looked at too much. It's like, hey, he got the exposure now. Just throw him in there, which can be super awesome. But I would like all of that to sort of be entwined or put together, something like that. Now, the other thing I wanted to bring up about Monday Night Raw is the tease that we have between a possible feud or a match or something happening between Seth Rollins and John Cena. Because even Keith and myself during Raw were saying maybe it's going to be Kane or something, because who's Seth going to face at SummerSlam, you know? But then Cena comes out. So inevitably, this is going to be something that happens. Now that Seth Rollins, as Keith said, has been champion for this long, are you guys ready for this?
It's such a weird thing because the fact that Cena might face Rollins at SummerSlam had me disappointed, because that means there might not be a United States Championship match on SummerSlam. It seems like a weird backwards thing, but that's how I felt about it.
I think it's the right way to go because, like we said, who the hell is Seth Rollins going to face? I mean, we've heard things about like Triple H and stuff, but it's like they need to plant the seeds for months before anything like that could happen. So I actually thought it was going to be Cena even before Raw. I'm going to just brag about that because I just felt like there was literally nobody else. And I think it really works. I really enjoyed this promo. So many people are nervous because Cena wins LOL and all that. But it makes perfect sense. I mean, Rollins has been like the cowardly heel champion, and Cena's just been killing it with the United States title, basically defending it all the time and making, you know, basically building this title up. And now it's kind of like I'm being the true champion. And it just, I feel like it all works. You know, it's making the US belt look even more important. So I actually think this is awesome.
Yeah, same. I think that champion versus champion feuds are something that doesn't happen often. But when the stars align in such a way where Seth is built, John Cena is John Cena, it can just work so well. And if that's the trade-off we're getting from Kevin Owens to Seth Rollins, I don't think there's a better choice. So I'm actually all for that match. And this SummerSlam can be really, really awesome so far.
Exactly. I mean, you had to do something big, and this definitely has a big feel to it.
Yeah, so speaking of big feel, Rusev, what do you think, Ryan?
This was interesting. This whole Summer Rae shows up dressed like Lana. So now it's like Rusev made her exactly like Lana, except it's like Summer Rae, I guess. I don't know. This kind of added this like super creepy element to Rusev, but I think it's actually kind of awesome. And then he's like kissing Summer Rae with like one eye, just like death staring at
Lana. Little details are
like,
awesome.
You just felt like really bad for Lana. And like Ziggler isn't there to like back her up or whatever, but I don't know. It's weird, but it's kind of awesome.
Yeah, weird but kind of awesome is the best way to describe it. I'm a little bummed out that means that they're still going to go with it, and then when Ziggler gets back, it's going to go like full force probably back into this weird love thing, but yeah, Rusev's been killing it.
I think this segment just showed to me that you don't need Ziggler. To me, it was way more fun, just like the case of Lana dumped this guy, so this guy's just going to be, well, I'll just get my own Lana.
So do you think we're going to end up seeing Lana wrestle?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's leading to a
in
tag
a one-on-one
match.
Or like a tag match.
I think it might be a tag match, or it could be two separate one-on-one matches. But I feel like if Lana's gonna wrestle, it's best to probably put her in a tag match.
Yeah, odds are it'll scale up to the point where Dolph Ziggler, the boyfriend, magically comes back, and then oh my God, it's a SummerSlam tag team match. I don't think there's a better choice than that. Plus, it's SummerSlam, which is like, you know, the biggest party of the summer. They don't really use that anymore, but it's another USA-centric pay-per-view, so I guess Rusev can definitely still ride the whole classic Rusev face with that too. So there's a lot of cool stuff happening there. Overall, guys, how do you feel about the WWE right now?
I think it's in a pretty darn good place. Based on, you know, Battleground and this Raw, like, it seems like they're really trying with SummerSlam, and I like it.
Agreed. It's in a great place. Just keep it coasting at this level, and all will be well.
We know that's not going to happen, but let's hope.
I know, but we can dream.
There's always that asterisk at the end of the sentence. You're like, damn it, almost there. But, you know, yeah, it's awesome. It's really enjoyable. And, of course, people, this is where We bring up all the awesome announcements that we have. If you go to the YouTube channel right now, there's so much stuff happening because, as we promised, episode 100 week, we have a piece of content going up every single day. Tomorrow, that is on a Monday, was July 20th. The first part of our brand new series, Superstar Spotlight, made its debut. We talk about Randy Orton,
You mean
his
yesterday?
origins.
Yeah, yesterday was Monday.
I said,
You said tomorrow.
You said tomorrow.
Well, that's what happens when part 2 comes up tomorrow. I kind of fixed it. But yes, basically this week, you're getting part 1 and part 2 of our Randy Orton Superstar Spotlight. The podcast available every single Tuesday night. On Thursday, you're getting the Fight Night Season 2 trailer. People have been asking, where are Rats and Sex? If you don't know what the hell Rats and Sex are, it's probably because, well, their names are Rats and Sex. Go to the channel and check that out. And on Friday, we have something really awesome planned that Keith will tell you a little bit more about that.
That's right. We're going to have a live stream extravaganza on Friday where, it's going to be like the Byte That Variety Hour. We're going to play some No Mercy. We're going to have some live fight night action going on. And who the heck knows what else. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. Check us out at about 7:30 Eastern time, give or take a little bit. And come hang out and have some fun.
Yes, twitch.tv/bythat. That's going to be the place. There's going to be 2 games, as Keith mentioned. We may do a third hour with a pick. So based on everybody that's there, we'll give you some options and we'll just hang out, talk, just have a great time. Friday night, 3 hours, a lot of fun. On Saturday, another thing that I'm really proud of, Keith is the primary editor of all this. We have a brand new countdown. It is top 5 WWE finishers. We're super proud of it. We haven't done countdowns in a while. So how do you guys feel about doing this again?
After seeing, I got a sneak peek at the final product, and I'm really excited for everyone to see it. Keith worked overtime to get episode 100 week going one. Did a lot of great work too, and I was kind of there. No, I helped out, but I give these guys a lot of credit for getting a lot of awesome content out this week, and this top 5 finishers video is awesome.
I'm very proud of it, and I can't wait to see what you all think of it. It probably killed a piece of me, but hey, that piece is out there, going to be out there for you to consume.
See, for all the hate Keith gets, he's a wonderful human being. Keith, you're great.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome, man. And on Sunday, there's going to be another video that I will be doing on what? Stay tuned. And by the way, just a quick note, Dana Bryan's latest book, Yes, My Improbable Journey to the Main Event of WrestleMania, is out. I ordered my copy like 3 months ago, so hopefully the pre-order will get there in time. As I read the book, I may give some feedback. I'm a slow reader, so if I even finish reading the book, you guys will know. And now, this book costs money. People like money, or at least be able to buy this book or something. But Ryan, Keith, what if people didn't have to pay for this book or anything else that we can sort of ease their way with doing this? Basically, what I'm trying to say is we have a contest going on, and Ryan will give you more information right now.
All right, so we've been teasing it for a couple weeks that we were, instead of doing a giveaway like we traditionally do, that this time we wanted to try something different and do a contest. So that's why today we are announcing our SummerSlam Poetry Contest. That's right, we're asking you guys to be creative, and our first place winner is going to get a $30 Amazon gift card, whether it's US, Canada, or UK. We will work with you on that region. But anyway, what we're asking for you, from you guys, is to just have a poem about wrestling. It just has to involve wrestling. It can be funny, serious. All we're asking is that you be creative with it. We prefer it's WWE related since we're a WWE centric podcast. So we just ask, keep it, relatively short, but, a page or so, just a couple stanzas is fine. So submit your poem that's starting now at bytethatcast@gmail.com. So we want it to be, we're exclusively accepting it through email, and just put the subject SummerSlam Poetry. So this will go until August 16th, and then we will announce the winner on August 18th, and we will also read 2 honorable mentions and the first place winner on that show, August 18th. Remember, the winner will get a $30 Amazon gift card. And leading up to that, just to get the creative juices flowing for all you guys, the three of us are going to read our own poems in the 3 weeks leading up.
Oh boy.
So I'll be leading off next week to get things started. But anyway, we look forward to you guys being creative. Submit your poems. Remember, that's bytethatcast@gmail.com with the subject SummerSlam Poetry, WWE related, and can be serious or funny. We want to see creativity, and the three of us are going to be the judges, and we're going to collaborate behind the scenes, and then have the 2 honorable mentions and winner read on August 18th.
And here's a line. We are Byte That. My least favorite Hardy is Matt. And there you go.
The juices are flowing.
Oh man, so many endless possibilities. But yeah, it's awesome. Check out that contest. We'll be talking about it more on the channel, on the podcast, reminding you every single week. You know, we want those poems because we know you guys are creative and poems are awesome. And historically, everything goes well whenever we talk about, read stories on this podcast. What? Well, something
Plus
happened.
the wordplay, SummerSlam poetry. It's
Exactly.
so good.
Yeah.
Pure
That can't
pure
go
credit to Ryan
unappreciated.
McNulty.
Yes.
SummerSlam poetry. It's beautiful.
Now, guys, this is episode 100. And obviously, maybe we have people that are listening for the very first time. Maybe we have people that have been listening from episode 115, whatever the case. This is our portion of the show where we're just going to sort of sit down. We're already sitting down. But give our origin story, or why is Byte That a thing? Why have we been doing this for 100 episodes? Now, Ryan is the first person that I personally met between this triangle. So I want to give it to you, Ryan, first. What is your first experience with this guy you call Keith and the other guy you call Juan?
Well, my first experience with you was actually similar to Fight Night. I actually tried to do a little wrestling league way back in 2004, I want to say. And right after WrestleMania 20 or whatever. And I was working with some kid and he was... he was kind of annoying, I'm going to be real. And but anyway, he introduced me to Juan, was like, oh, this guy could commentate your shows. And then me and Juan started talking to each other. We were like, yeah, this kid is, we don't really like this kid. So we just ended up hanging out and being friends. And we were like, forget that kid. And then hanging out with Juan, I guess, I don't know how you guys met, but we all watched Bad Blood. Was it Bad Blood
2004? Bad Blood 2004.
And that was the first time I met Keith. All through the internet, by the way, I should mention.
Yes.
Yeah, the story of how overall we all met. By the way, that thing that Ryan mentioned, in one of my old hard drives, I found a video of that with the commentary. At some point down the line, Ryan's looking at me like, Juan, stop talking right now. And at some point, that footage.
Imagine in your head what would it be at the time? 14, 15-year-old Juan and Ryan talking about wrestling moves, look at that, it's a vertical suplex
He
and
sounds
stuff
worse,
like that.
and so do I.
Yeah.
He can barely understand me. But yeah, with the overall case is that WWF chat rooms were a thing back then in Yahoo chat, because obviously wrestling was really cool online, but there wasn't this huge community as there is now with Reddit and all that stuff. So this one person is the one that essentially linked the three of us together, the guy Ryan mentioned. So at least there's something to be thankful about that. And then, we all watched Bad Blood 2004 together. And I was sort of doing commentary, I don't remember why, of the show. But then progressively, we sort of just started talking and became a family to the point where... we've gone through financial trouble together. At one point... Keith, and I gotta thank you for this on the podcast. I went to WrestleMania because of you, and that started as a joke because you had tickets.
Yeah, because I had WrestleMania tickets, and then ended up with an extra one. So you were to me oh, you get to see the Undertaker versus Triple H. Screw you. And then I'm just like, well, you wanna come? and then the rest is history.
Yeah, I thought it was a joke so I jokingly threw out there, is there any way I can go or something? It's like, hey, if you buy a ticket. It's like, crap. And we made it to WrestleMania. In that moment when we first met together, keep in mind, that was like, we haven't seen each other in person for like 9-8 years.
Yeah, we've known each other the whole time without meeting each other.
Yeah, so when that happened, it was like, holy crap.
That's some eHarmony BS right there.
That's an 80-year-old guy. No,
it is beautiful.
Now, Ryan and my encounter was a little more awkward, I guess, because at the time period also, we were way younger. Ours was like in 2007, 8, something like that.
Maybe, 2008, maybe, I think. Where you just happened to be in Boston for something and you were staying at a hotel and it was like 5 minutes from my house and I was like, oh, holy crap, let's hang out. So we grabbed Subway and watched Step Brothers.
Yeah. And it was like, holy crap, you're tall.
To complete this triangle and not to make it too happy-go-lucky feel-good, where I am calling you out, Ryan, where we were supposed to hang out when we were both at WrestleMania 29. I made plans like, hey, let's hang out, and somebody ditched me. Didn't they?
Ditch you.
You're like, yeah, that sounds good. Let's hang out. And then nothing. You ditched me. You ditched me at WrestleCon, goddammit.
I never ended up getting the WrestleCon tickets, and then I was going to try and meet up with you guys at the stadium, and my cell phone wasn't working, and I couldn't coordinate anything, and it was a disaster. And yeah, so me and Keith have actually never met in person, but then I did end up going to Juan's wedding, of course, as you guys saw through our podcast.
And I botched that one.
Yeah.
How ridiculous is that? Is there some kind of conspiracy? The three of us have never actually met at the same time. And there have been situations where it could happen. Something about that. That's kind of change. That, the first time that happens, it needs to be a podcast. Like, it needs to be like, we're getting to that point, and then at some point, it'll hopefully be a thing. Now, we're talking about the podcast. Let's get to the origins or why Byte that even happened. Now, Keith and I guess, have more of a darker background of the one podcast episode we made around 2007, which don't look for it.
Let's just say our track record of, you can find it. You believe me, you can find it.
Oh, but the audio file still exists?
That I don't know, but I know there's a website you can find that has all of the information about that radio show. But let's say me and you, Juan, don't exactly have the greatest track record of getting things off the ground. So, yeah, there was a lot of ideas, and then eventually we said, hey, let's do a podcast. Let's do it about wrestling. We all know about wrestling, and yeah, the rest is history. We were going to call it something else that I don't know if they'll let me say or not. What I wanted to call it.
Yeah, go for it.
I wanted to call it the Crippler Crosscast. But they weren't for that.
There were many reasons why that didn't happen. But yeah, that was a thing that almost happened.
Eventually, years later, it came down to we were all just kind of talking on Skype, and like we'd get into these deep wrestling discussions, and we were just like, we should just hit record and upload this and see what happens. And
we've done it 100 times now. Yeah,
it's history ever since, and we've built a lot of momentum, and it's really cool to see this thing grow.
Yeah, and technically 101. We actually did an episode 0 where the purpose was never to upload it, but it was like, will we bore ourselves to death when we hit record? Let's record this and have it just sit in nowhere, which I still have that. So like 10 years from now, that audio piece will go out and people will just say,
I don't know if I could listen to that.
I can't listen to it. It was terrible. We sound depressed for an hour. It didn't work, but gladly it did long term. So now, obviously, we have the podcast, and then that's when sort of the YouTube thing started to happen, where it started with just clips, but then we realized, the podcast is mostly raw reaction, that type of stuff, but there's a bunch of topics, Attitude Era, all these things that we wanted to get to, and then we sort of did with the Square Roundtables, which started as a complete one-time thing, because we had Ryan here, Jamie, our one of our best friends, was here, Anthony. we're in the same room. Let's record something and let's call it something. When we named it Square Roundtable, and
see, behind the scenes, Juan has this need to turn every single thing, every human interaction into some piece of content. So the fact that he had people at his place for his wedding, he needed to turn into wrestling related
yes,
content.
I mean, I give Juan a lot of credit for that week that we were able to put out that much content the week of his wedding.
The week of the wedding. Okay, for context, for those that maybe are new now, we recorded 2 podcasts, and not just 2 podcasts, 2 video podcasts with a camera that I've never used that ran out of battery both times just when the podcast ended. And the night before the wedding, we recorded 7 Square Roundtables. 7, okay?
Not only that, but we went to caves and stuff too. Like we did some other stuff.
Didn't you go to like the cradle from Goldeneye?
Yes, we did.
And I got married.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
Yeah. So that was the moment where, Byte that is part of my life, and I thank my wife who's right by my side right now for actually just bearing with me. I love you.
We also did a shield interference at your wedding.
Oh my God, I gotta bring that up. Okay, so obviously wrestling is way too big of a part of my life. So what happened during the wedding is that there's this cake and there's a second cake, and I'm like, cool. But all of a sudden, my mom grabs the microphone and just starts talking a bunch of stuff, and then I hear the Shields theme play, and I'm just thinking, no. Then Ryan, Anthony, and Jamie come out wearing a Sin Cara, a cane, and a Rey Mysterio mask with a wrestling
That's all
cake.
they had at the store, folks.
Yeah. And then not just that, by that point, I am literally on the floor. There are pictures of that, just me on the floor laughing. Then our friend Jamie proceeds to do the cane in-ring pose with the pyro going off. Keep in mind, none of my family watches wrestling or my friends. So it was just this awkward silence of everybody watching Jamie do the cane pose. And I'm just crying laughing.
See, I'm so disappointed I wasn't there, because I would have lobbied so hard to triple power bomb you through a table.
And I would have so loved that. Through the cake. It would have been, I actually tried to get a flaming table spot for the wedding. In fact, true story. We sat down with the photographer and there may be this table spot where it goes on fire. But then my wife and I realized it was a bad idea. Now, we talked about sort of all of that good stuff. Is there anything you want to say about Fight Night, Ryan? Because we know that the majority of the people that listen to the podcast and stuff don't really know what Fight Night is about. What about it?
Basically, it kind of came down to me and Juan just really enjoy playing, 2K14, 2K13, whatever we're playing at the time. And, like I said, we had that history of doing that little video game wrestling league. And then we just kind of were like, let's figure out a way to do this where it's like, it's just this nice little thing we can do on the side. And, we made some characters, and then these storylines just kind of started happening based on the characters we were making. And then we're just like, let's just make this ridiculous. Let's do things that you can't do in a normal wrestling league, like have banana breads and inferno matches and stuff like that. So it kind of took on a life of its own. And it's this nice little thing that we have on the channel that it's like, we don't care how many viewers it gets because we have way too much fun making it. And we're just glad that we've gotten the feedback we have with it.
Plus, Fight Night has become this incredible thing of, it's almost like a game of escalation. Like, okay, we have this idea. Now, how much crazier can we make that idea? Then we get that idea and then turn it into something way crazier. And it's almost a never-ending process.
And it's getting crazier this season. That's the only tease I can give right now.
Yes, you'll be able to see this Thursday on the trailer.
Yes.
Woo!
Now, we talked about present. Overall, are there any expectations that you guys have for Fight Night in the future? We've had these conversations, and, everybody listening, you'll definitely know more, because we're actually approaching 2 years of Byte That, which is ridiculous how time goes by. But what do you guys think about the future? The future.
I mean, continue to grow. We love that we've gotten, we've had an audience that continues to engage, and we enjoy, everyone that interacts with us. We really love talking to you guys. And even we know there's those people out there who have maybe they've listened to a bunch of episodes and have never interacted with us. We still really appreciate everyone who listens. And it's just been a great experience. And we just want to continue to build on that, evolve our content, do more things that we want to do, more things that you guys want to see, and just keep building from there.
Exactly. To me, the future seems simple. Just do what we're doing and keep having fun doing it. Like, I love doing this more than probably anything else.
Isn't it ridiculous?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, no.
Yeah, well, yes. No, you know what? I'm going to say everything else and leave that to the imagination. But yeah, let's to everybody that has interacted with us so far, first of all, thank you. And let's just keep making this crazy party even bigger and just have fun doing it.
Yeah, like at least for me, and I'm pretty sure you guys will agree, it's hard for me to remember what it was like between the three of us before Byte That. We've known each other for 10 years, but it feels so natural. Like, this never felt like it was something that was forced upon us. Like, let's do this podcast and editing and, the YouTube channel. It feels so organic. And that's why the fact that, I'll never forget when we first posted episode 1 and we were like, is anybody going to listen or even care or even just agree with us? And then look at everything that's happened.
Yeah, exactly. To be at 2,500 subscribers, over 2,500 now, that's huge. And basically, like, these two guys, not only are they like great friends of mine, but it's like they're great to work with because, like, there's so many times I've tried to do like projects or things like that. And it's like, oh, you really want to do something and you do it for like 2 or 3 weeks or maybe a couple months and then you just stop. And that's it. And I think a lot of people have experienced that. So to be here almost 2 years later and to still be doing this and seeing how it's built is awesome because I don't know if I've ever quite committed to like a hobby or a project this long and had it be this successful. So that's really awesome.
And another thing to add to that is that we never sacrificed our friendship. Yeah. And that's why I want to say this, like, because the biggest obstacle was ourselves in the way that we're doing this, but we're still friends. So, like, let's not replace and practically family at this point. I don't consider you guys friends.
Agreed.
Like,
That hurts.
No,
I'm kidding. I know what you meant.
Keith was gonna be the best man at my wedding, and then he had to back out.
Wait, he's gonna be the best man, and then I didn't replace him.
Know that.
You had your brother. Aren't I more family than your brother?
No, it was no.
Oh my God, that hurts.
No, but my wife and I had like this month-long
Oh my God, that
conversation.
physically hurts me.
Well, whatever. It's happening in the podcast, which is great. Feel the pain, Keith. Feel the pain.
I think I might cry.
I really love you guys. But yeah, what I wanted to say is basically that I think we've gotten closer as things have gone by. And we've had our moments where, of course, like any company or anything, there's conflict or anything, but we solve it. And yeah, it's awesome.
Behind the scenes, that's one of my favorite parts about this. Like, even though we are family, we are very different personalities in our own ways, but at the end of the day, we always just get it done. We get together, we have our differences, but we just work together and we made it. We made it to 100.
Yeah, and I think our differences complement each other.
There's good differences, yeah.
It's a system of checks and balances, and it keeps things going. Especially Juan keeps us going.
Yes, yes.
He is the motivator, the ultimate motivator.
Let's talk about this for a minute.
Uh-oh.
No offense to you, Ryan, but I strongly believe that we would not have made it this far without Juan.
Oh, absolutely
I think
not.
me and you would have given up a very long time ago, but if this is a ship, he is our captain. Thank you.
Oh,
yes, exactly.
Thank you,
Juan.
guys.
Yeah, we couldn't do it without you. Me and Keith would just be chilling playing Hearthstone all day, unmotivated. So thank you, Juan, for keeping this ship afloat.
So we almost had Hearth that, but it never happened.
Yeah,
No,
could happen. But we're gonna stick to our current forte of wrestling.
Yeah, and thank you guys for that. Now, we've talked about all these things. As I mentioned at the beginning of this portion here, you guys are definitely going to know more about how we're going to be growing. And we want to make sure you're part of the process. The SRTs, it's mostly questions you guys send out. You know, it's all these things because it would honestly be really boring if everything was just, Ryan, what do you want to talk about? Keith, what do you want to talk about? I have this idea. So it's great when everybody else gets involved. Case in point, we're going to be playing a little game now. We've had 100 episodes. Now, in that process, we've killed Keith.
Great. You've emotionally broken me down, and now we're going to play a game.
Yeah, we're gonna play. It's a mind game. There you go. No, but we have a wrestling ammo account, and somebody that we met through it is called True Prince of Pro. Now, this guy sent us something. It got me really emotional.
He's a trooper.
Yeah, this is when I'm like, this is why I like doing Byte That. Not for the exposure or anything, but the community interaction. He told us he was gonna get a gift for us for episode 100. So for days I'm thinking, a gift? Like, what the hell can somebody give us or something? So he actually went back, listened to multiple podcast episodes and pulled out quotes and sent me another message with the answers. And then I'm going to read the quotes and we're going to try to figure out who said what. So I guess the name of the game is who said what. So are you guys ready?
Yes. So we're all going to guess first and then you'll reveal the answer.
No, let's do that process right now. Okay, so quote number 1. And I'm going to need somebody to write in the Google Drive doc. So to help facilitate this process, we should have talked about that before. Thank you. Quote number 1. Who said Daniel Bryan has a good Mick Foley look going on right now? Bang, bang.
All right, so am I going first?
Yes, let's do Ryan, Keith, myself.
Okay. I am going to say Keith said that.
Yeah, I agree.
Interesting. I'm going to go with 1. I feel like the bang bang kind of gives that away as something that, like those little things that you throw in the end of the sentence. Bang bang! I'm going to say that's a you thing.
I actually initially was thinking that, but then something just tells me I remember Keith saying that.
Now, the answer is actually Keith Poshik.
Yes!
On the very first episode, like, the answer is Keith. Yeah, you're wrong.
Really?
Yeah. On the very first episode of Byte That, Keith was talking about the unique look of Daniel Bryan. The very first episode.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So on to quote number 2. Who said, I want to punch that kid in the face? Is there any answer that's not Keith?
Because I don't know. There were times where I feel like I might have been able to say that. I'm going to go with Keith, though. I think that's the safe bet.
See, I'm going to go with Ryan, because that totally sounds like a Ryan thing to say.
And the answer is...
Well, what do you say?
I think it's you.
Oh, okay.
The answer is, it's me. Okay.
Wow. Wow, really?
Quote number 2 was said by Juan on podcast episode 3. Juan was talking about his hatred of a kid in a WWE shop commercial. I remember that now. Wow, the commercial.
That is amazing.
Hey, wow.
Oh, that guy. Okay.
Okay, yeah, well deserved. Well deserved.
Quote number 3. Who said, I try very hard to conceal my boner?
Oh, man.
Was it involving that episode of Byte That? I don't know, but who do you think said that, Ryan?
I'm going to say myself. Just because I feel
go with
like...
Juan on that one.
I'm actually going to go with Keith on that one. And the
at
answer,
least somebody's going to get it right.
The answer is Ryan.
Yes! I know what I said.
Yeah.
Now, where was that from? I need to know this right now.
Ryan on podcast episode 14 when talking about Xavier Woods' Raw debut. That is random.
Apparently I really liked Xavier Woods. I had Wood for Xavier Woods.
Quote number 4.
Okay.
Who said Dean and Seth are afraid... it is from that episode.
Oh, God.
Oh,
Dean
no.
and Seth are afraid of admitting their feelings for each other.
Okay. Did I
Didn't you
narrate
play
this?
Yeah, who narrated that?
I think Keith narrated. I'm gonna say Keith because I think he did the narrations. For anyone who doesn't know, we already know this is when we read a Shield fanfic on an episode, and that was a great idea.
I'm gonna go with Juan on this one because the thing that I remember most about that episode is me being so revolted by it that I got up and walked away. So I don't think I could have narrated it. So I'm gonna go with Juan.
I don't know why I think you said
captain.
everything, but I'm gonna say you, Keith.
Okay.
So let's see. Quote number 4 was said by Ryan.
What? All right.
Ryan was the narrator. Okay.
Wow, everyone got it wrong.
Yeah. Turns out we don't know each other. Ryan, on podcast episode 17, during without a doubt the funniest episode in Byte That History segment, Fanfic Fantasies. Also, am I the only one who thinks this should come back as a YouTube exclusive?
Possibly. You might be the only one that thinks that. Oh, man.
The only one in this podcast segment that, yes, thinks that.
And I apologize, that was my idea to do that segment.
That is dark days.
It's going to be tough to convince anyone to do that again, but we'll see.
Maybe after a couple of beers for Keith. Now, quote number 5. Who said, in Canada, there are approximately 25,000 grizzly bears. One of them is a huge asshole. Bear facts.
I remember Bear facts. Wow, he's hitting a lot of great points here. I think Juan said that.
See, I don't know, because I was in the hospital at this point recovering from a bear attack, so I'm just going to flip a coin and say Ryan.
For context, Keith had to move, so we proceeded to kayfabe kill him in the podcast until he was done moving, and he was killed by a bear, so we proceeded to do bear facts. I think it was Ryan. And the answer is Ryan on episode 43 during the interesting bear facts segment. Quote number 6. Who said that was 23 turns in the Big Show's WWE career? This is tough. This is a hard one. 23
turns in the Big Show's career. I'm going to say Keith. Sounds like a Keith quote.
That sounds like a scaff if I've ever heard it, so I'm gonna go with myself on that one.
We all agree. I'm going with Keith too. Okay, guys, this may be our one shot to all get it right. It was said by Keith.
Yes.
Keith on podcast episode 66 during that week's Tweet of the Week segment.
Oh, it was a Tweet of the Week.
Made that
rest
segment.
In
rest in peace. Okay, we got a couple left. This is awesome, by the way. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. This is incredible.
Quote number 7. Who said they didn't explode? I don't know the context to this.
I'm going to say Juan said this.
I'm going to go with me.
I'm going to go with me. It seems like something I would say.
I don't know. That's a shot in the dark.
It was said by Juan. All right.
Yes.
Juan on podcast episode 70 during the 2014 WWE Year-End Awards. You were talking about Orton versus Batista versus Bryan, talking about Orton landing on the TV monitor. So this is the video version of the podcast that was filmed in Puerto Rico.
I love that you put the context of every quote, too. Yeah, that's actually awesome. I know.
This is unbelievably amazing, seriously. Okay, now there's a question number 8 and then a bonus question. So here we go. Quote number 8, I should say. Who said, this seemed even more fake than wrestling?
I feel like that's a Keith quote.
Yeah, that is Keith.
I'm going to say that's me talking about the Bellas. Like their feud.
Let's see here. It was said by me. Okay.
Wow.
Juan on podcast episode 89 when you guys were talking about Mayweather versus Pacquiao.
Oh.
The more you know it. Okay, here we go. Bonus question. I have not read any of these. According to my calculations and the numbers provided by Stitcher, how many minutes have there been of Byte That closest?
My God.
Byte That. Closest to the right answer without going over gets it, or if everyone goes over, closest to the right number gets it.
Can we use a calculator?
Nope.
All right, how many minutes?
We can
of
use
Byte
his
that?
calculations, but we can't use a calculator.
Well, I'm gonna say it only goes up to episode 99, so this one doesn't
we're
count.
not including this one.
They don't know how long this one is yet. Oh, Jesus.
Oh, and it's
I
minutes.
should have a-
Diva, so it's like
It's
I can't
minutes?
say hours. Wait,
Absolutely not. We're going hour.
Minutes? Well,
and the numbers. How many minutes? Yeah, can we round it up with?
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, let's put it this way: if you do 60 minutes times 100, that's 600 minutes. So you can play around there.
Oh yeah, I guess so.
So
True
I'm gonna
enough.
say 689 minutes. Wait, is that right?
I'm gonna say
No, wait, or it would be
700.
6,000. No, it'd be
yeah,
6,000.
Yeah, 6,000 something. Yeah.
6,189 minutes.
I'm going to go 7,400.
We're gonna go $1. No, I'm gonna go 8,113. I don't know why. Here we go. The answer is we are all wrong. 5,710
Wow.
minutes of Byte That.
So I'm closest, right?
Yeah.
Well, you
duh.
went over.
We all went over, but Ryan was the
Yeah.
closest
Well,
one.
what was it? What? How did he read it? Was it closest?
Let's see. Let's get technical here.
All right.
The closest to the right answer without going over gets it. So we all
we
failed.
all
We're
lose.
terrible. We don't know our own show, guys. It's done. Just stop recording.
All right.
No, but yeah, seriously, this is a great trip down memory lane.
Yes,
That
thank you
was
so
awesome.
much for that. That's so cool. Like, can't even put it into words beyond that.
Super, super well done. Thank you so much.
Yeah, True Prince, you are a big part of the show, especially
You are a
because
true
of this.
prince and a scholar.
Yes, he is. So now we're not done because this is a special episode. So it's not just about us. We've talked a lot about us. I'm saying that word a lot. We're gonna bring up some of the key people that have either contributed questions, been active through social media, but those that have been involved in the process. So we have 3 lists. I'm going to start off with mine first. And this is a really special Byte That fan. Cody Collier, you are absolutely awesome. Roach McPoach, people love you. True Prince of Pro, hey, I don't think I need to explain anything right now. NKB 1324, Fresh Toast.
He's your boy.
Yeah, my boy.
Mon's boy.
The broadcast podcast is awesome. Lemmy Nerd, USC Punk, K-Man Plays MC, Zach Hardy, Keith Thrival, I should say, J4 Gaming, D Morgan, Jack Amundsen, Angie C, The Bear, because The Bear killed Keith and he came back, so The Bear became a big part of the show at some point. Gary Gullible, that guy is amazing. Medento Gaming, at Kissaret Studios, at JRPG Studios. The fact that a game development studio listens to the podcast while coding on and all that stuff is amazing. One of our great friends, Anthony, and of course, last and not least in my list, my beautiful wife, Nicole. I love you, and thank you for supporting us.
Well, to keep it going, I would like to thank Mr. Balboa's Bomber, Bardock123, Kane Yo-Yo, David Acosta, Matthew V, because I don't think I can say your last name still, Fifths Championship Wrestling, Barnaballs, just because I love saying your name every single week. I'm going to even say it again, Barnaballs, Garrett Cameron, Ryan Davis, Douglas Vine, GM Born Again, Speculum Fight, and Briven Savio, in brackets, Vega. Close brackets.
All right, my thank yous. Bloody Rat, good old Shanky. Hopefully you don't hate me after that joke. Thanks to Monica G, who wrote us that awesome question a couple weeks ago. Pro Skills Gamer, Simon Lidner, Pack Leader 1215, TNA Creative, who we love on Twitter, who sent us a question, Bork Laser, because why not? You gotta have Bork Laser in there. Colin F, Lunatic Fringe Reviews, Cozy Boy, Entertainment EC2, Daniel Todd, my cousin Chris McNulty, who actually did an SRT with us, my good friend Chris
SRTs.
Oriyama,
Don't cut him
who
short.
supports the show, and of course JTG for doing an interview with us. That was awesome.
Yeah, seriously, thank you to everybody that keeps contributing, keeps being awesome, keeps sending the questions. Of course, this is a very special edition of the podcast, so we didn't have time to get to your questions. We did get some great ones, which some are actually going to be turning into a square roundtable, like Zach Hardy. You sent us really fun questions, too. One thing we do want to point out, as we keep growing, we want to make sure that everything sort of gets put into place. So, like, when you send us a question, send it through Twitter, ByteThatCast, email, and all that good stuff, but make sure to use the hashtag AskBT. That's our way of knowing that that question you want it to be for the podcast. Now, for the Square Roundtable, which are the things that we talk about, not time-sensitive or more hypothetical scenarios or greatest quote-unquote scenarios, use the hashtag SRT. So that way, when you talk with us, when you engage, we know exactly what you expect out of that interaction. So for that and everything else, once again, thank you so much. So Mr. McNulty, take it away with the 100-episode plugs. Because you've been plugged 100 times, Ryan.
Wow, it's a lot. It's more to be quite a bit, but I'm still here. Yeah, of course. So thank you, everyone, for listening to this very special edition of the Byte That podcast. 100 episodes. Here's to 100 plus more. So let's get some plugs out of the way for the 100th time. Of course, go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ByteThatCast. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, please do so, because we've got content all week long. So we already got Randy Orton Superstar Spotlight Part 1 up on the channel now, so check that out if you haven't seen it yet. Part 2 should be going up tomorrow, that is Wednesday. Thursday, we've got the Fight Night Season 2 trailer that's also going to have the date for the Season 2 premiere. Friday, we're going to be doing our Twitch stream over on twitch.tv/ByteThat, where we're going to be playing No Mercy 2K14, doing some live Fight Night matches, as well as some other things too. We've got our top 5 finishers video going up Saturday, and then Sunday there's going to be a wrestling discussion video. So much content for you to check out, so make sure to stay tuned for that. And of course, interact with us on I can't even talk now. It's been a hell of an episode. Interact with us on social media by going, our Twitter is @ByteThatCast. Facebook.com/ByteThatCast. We're on Wrestling Amino, Instagram. Just search Byte That.
We're on the internet.
Yes. Everything else, just
everywhere.
go to Byte.
We're like the plague.
Go to ByteThat.com.
No.
So thank you guys so much for listening to this awesome episode. And we are going to see you next week for 101.